Hello, my name is Chris and today I would like to offer my answer to the question, is there a cure for addictive personality? A few weeks ago I posted in the Finding Freedom Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/findingfreedom1, and said, hey guys, I'm going to do a Q&A style video, send me your questions and I'll answer them. I've ended up doing a separate video for each question just because there's quite a lot I want to say. And today's question came from Connie from Finding Freedom. She says, I see smoking as an addiction. So even if I quit smoking, I recognize myself as someone with an addictive personality. The question is there a way to cure an addictive personality? And I think that's a great question, and it's certainly one I can understand, or at least I think I can understand where Connie's coming from with this question. If we see ourselves as someone with an addictive personality, then we get into the mindset of, okay, even if I quit smoking, I'm just going to replace smoking with another addictive habit, or I might just end up smoking again anyway because I have this addictive personality. Therefore, to me, smoking or engaging in other addictive behaviors is kind of inevitable, predictable, and unavoidable. Today I want to talk about why that might not necessarily be the case and why addictive personality isn't necessarily something that we need to cure, because it's something that we actually probably don't have in the way that we think about the term addictive personality. Before I get into that, just a quick reminder that this Saturday, February 26th, is our monthly Livestream Hangout here on YouTube. If you've ever wanted to interact with me in real time or interact with other members of our community, talk about your quit, how it's going, any challenges you're facing, that is the place to do it. It is at 6:30 p.m. UK time. Other time zones and a link to where the live stream will be hosted are down in the description below and up in the card above. That is this Saturday. Today we are talking about this concept of addictive personality. So I think to answer this question properly, there's sort of two things we need to consider. And the first thing that we need to consider is that the idea of a specific type of addictive personality, someone who is definitely always predisposed and destined to be addicted forever, doesn't necessarily exist. Addictive personality is not a psychiatric diagnosis. You're not going to get addictive personality disorder, although there are specific personality traits and aspects of our lives that can mean we have a greater propensity towards addiction. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're destined and doomed to be addicted for the rest of our lives. The other angle is to come into what Connie was saying, and the words Connie used were I recognize myself as an addictive personality. So it is not for me to come and say you are wrong. The way you recognize and identify and view your world is wrong. It isn't. That's how you've come to see things. I just want to question and challenge that a little bit, and we're going to do that by coming at it from both angles. So like I said, there's a lot of, as you can imagine, there's been a ton of research done on addiction, what causes addiction, what leads us to have multiple addictions. And a lot of the research has identified certain factors and even certain personality traits that mean a person is more predisposed towards addiction. But just because a person is more predisposed towards addiction doesn't mean it is inevitable, predictable, and unavoidable. Things like, even genetics. If our parents had addiction, there's some research that says, well, that might be within our DNA. There are things like environmental factors, our upbringing, the society around us, the people we hang out with, socioeconomic factors, a whole cavalcade of stuff. There is things like depression and anxiety that can make people more disposed towards addiction. And there are certain personality traits, neuroticism, impulsivity, a general sense of dissatisfaction and always wanting more. But a person can have one or multiple of these personality traits. A person can have parents with addiction and still not end up in addiction themselves. a person can be highly neurotic and end up with no sense of addiction. There was some studies done where they took children of parents with addictions, and those children were fostered and they didn't grow up to have addictions. There has been studies that shows that people, just because you have depression and anxiety doesn't always necessarily mean that you're going to end up in addiction. It's just that these things are definitely contributing factors. And there's also been some research that said, yes, that, people can have multiple addictions, people can replace one addiction with the other, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that is inevitable, predictable, and unavoidable. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you have certain personality traits, or if you, have a certain upbringing or socio-economic factors surrounding you, that you are definitely going to end up replacing nicotine addiction with a different addiction. And I think that is good news, right? That's got to be good news. We can dissect this a little bit further. When I was thinking about Connie's question, how I was going to answer it, and I was thinking about my own addictions and my own self-sabotaging behaviours. And I was thinking, if I had an addictive personality, why am I not addicted to everything? I was addicted to cigarettes, I misused alcohol, but I didn't get addicted to gambling or drugs or pornography or video games. Why not? And it's not because of lack of exposure. I've experienced all those things, enjoyed most of them, and was able to walk away without getting hooked on it. So what was it specifically about cigarettes and alcohol that got me to the place that I was? And the different things didn't do that. So I'm not predisposed to become addicted to everything that I am exposed to. Therefore, I don't have an addictive personality, but I am not Connie. And Connie recognizes in herself as having an addictive personality. So kind of what do we do with that? How do we take this forward if we're going to quit smoking and we see ourselves as having this addictive personality? So I think when it comes down to the question of can we cure an addictive personality, I am going to say that there's not one specific treatment or one specific type of medicine that someone will say, you are diagnosed with addictive personality, do this treatment, you are going to be better for the rest of your life. We're not going to focus on this concept of addictive personality. All we're going to recognize is that I am me and this is my personality, and I recognize that I have a tendency towards addiction and maybe self-sabotaging behavior. And when I recognize that, then I can start to heal myself. Not cure myself, because if I say that I need to be cured, it suggests that there is something fundamentally wrong with who I am. I need to heal a part of me that drives me into these addictive, self-sabotaging behaviors. And we can absolutely do that. And I think the first part of the process is to break the addiction to begin with. To stop the smoking, to stop the drinking, the drugs, the gambling, the pornography, the video games, whatever it is, to break that dependency from it if it is genuinely an addiction. And if we have multiple addictions going on at the same time, I'm personally of the mindset that it is better to tackle one and then the other rather than trying to do them all at the same time. Only because for me, I've seen people far too many times have two genuine addictions and try to deal with them both, and it's just blown their minds. I think we can deal with an addiction and a self-sabotaging behaviour, because I don't think all self-sabotaging behaviours are necessarily addictions. You might be addicted to cigarettes and be using alcohol to heal the pain within, to block, to distract from what's going on, but it's not actually an addiction in the way that it might be for other people. So if it's two genuine addictions, I say deal with one and then the other. If it's an addiction coupled with a self-sabotaging behaviour, maybe we can, but we don't necessarily have to. Then once we get rid of the actual addictive behaviour, we are still left with us, and we are still left with this sense of, there's something the matter with me that I keep diving into addictive behaviours. I've quit smoking, but I find myself now drawn to drinking or eating or doing any other number of things in an addictive way. So we need to start within ourselves and do some of that inner work and that self-discovery and that growth. What is it about me that drives me towards these behaviours, and what can I do about them? And the good news is that there is always something that we can do about them. You know, I was going to say I blame, I don't blame. I can see a direct link to my childhood and how I was bullied and put down and had loads of crappy things said to me, and the sense of low self-worth and low self-esteem and lack of coping strategies that I had to deal with life, and how that led me into the problems that I faced in life. And I can't do anything about my childhood now. I do not own a DeLorean. I wish I did, because that would be awesome. But I can't go back to the 80s and 90s and stop kids from being shit to me. I just can't. But what I can do is I can recognize now as an adult that I have an opportunity to heal some of that pain that was caused. I can go to therapy, I can do some self-discovery and self-growth. And I can start to look at things differently and recognize that I am not the person that I was told that I was. We go through life being told or shown or having it demonstrated to us that we are not worthy and we are less than. Then yeah, we're going to grow. We're going to grow with that mindset. We're going to take it on board. Now that we're old and now that we're removed from that, we can start to go, do you know what? I'm actually not that bad. There are good things in my life. We can start to learn techniques to question our own thoughts when we're going, do you know what? I am worthless and I suck. Actually, I'm not worthless and I don't suck. I'm kind of good at some stuff, not so good at other stuff, but the stuff that I'm not good at doesn't mean that I suck and I'm worthless, you know, especially when it's balanced out by all of these things that I am good at. If there are certain things relating to our own personality and how we go about our day that, you know, could be driving us towards addictions, you know, we can learn to tackle those as well, and we can heal those. If we are dealing, you know, if we are sad, if we do have depression, if we do have anxiety, high stress levels, anything like that that could, you know, give us a propensity towards addiction, these things developed over time. None of us were born depressed. None of us were born sad or stressed out. I don't remember having anxiety as a baby. That was something that developed over time. That was something that changed in my life. And if that was a change, then I can change again. If I've developed all these things once, I can develop other things. I can develop better ways of seeing the world and experiencing the world and interacting with the world and interacting with myself. You know, I can look at, okay, why do I keep diving into addictive behaviours? Well, maybe it's because I've got all this anxiety and all these feelings of self-loathing and low self-worth. Maybe I'm carrying around some underlying guilt. Maybe I've got all these thoughts and feelings that I just can't cope with. Thoughts and feelings that I've suppressed so far down maybe. And every time they start to bubble up, I'm nope, screw this, I'm going for a cig or a drink or drugs or whatever it may be. And we can take care of those one by one. Again, you know, this is where, you know, and I say this now only because I found going to therapy was so helpful for me. It has been an absolute game changer. But these are things that we can talk through. If we don't want to go to therapy, there are 1,000,001 ways that we can work through a lot of that underlying stuff. We can let go of guilt, we can let go of any shame, remorse, any underlying negative thoughts and feelings. We can improve our self-worth and self-esteem. Whatever is going on for us that is driving us towards addictive behaviours, we can, with the right support and the right mindset, start to heal that. Start to recognise ourselves as worthy, capable, deserving people who can get through life without addictions because we have better coping strategies, and we can develop those coping strategies at any time of life. You know, if there are things, you know, some of the personality traits that are sort of sometimes linked to addiction but not necessarily a root cause of it, are things like impulsivity. We can learn impulse control. We can look at what's going on for us. Why are we so impulsive? What's all that about? And we can tackle that as a separate thing. And I think that's the fundamental thing that I'm getting at. We can dive into what is actually going on for us. It is not that we are doomed to always be addicted. We are not. And I'll argue that with anybody. I'll argue that with people who are far, far smarter than me. And trust me, there are a lot of people who are far, far smarter than me and know way more than me. And I'll still argue that to the end of my life, that none of us are destined to be addicted forever if we get the right support and the right mindset, and we approach this differently from going, do you know what, I'm doomed, I just can't do it. Because if we write ourselves off, then we don't give ourselves a chance. We can recognize, yes, you know, there is something within me that means that I keep falling into these addictive habits and behaviors, but I can change those. One day, one step, one decision at a time. You know, maybe very much we do recognize, you know, we do say to ourselves, I have this addictive personality and here's the evidence. I've had this addiction, and this addiction. And I totally understand that, and I get where people are coming from when they do say that. But again, it doesn't necessarily mean that we can't do anything about them. You know, so can we cure an addictive personality? No, but also yes. We can't cure a disorder that we don't have, but we can heal and grow and repair ourselves so that we can go through life and cope and feel worthy and calm and content within ourselves, regardless as to what is going on around us, or even regardless as to, you know, anything that may have gone on in the past. And we can move forward and find our freedom without addiction. Connie, I hope that's answered your question to some degree. Everybody else, I hope it has given you something to think about, you know, at least kept you occupied for the last however many minutes. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope you find it useful. I've just said that. If you would like to get more of stuff from me, I have a book. It's called Quit Smoking and Be Happy. It is available in print and ebook form, and if you would like to work with me, whether it's for stop smoking support, hypnotherapy, NLP, counselling, anything like that, you can visit me online at cjstherapy.com, and everything that I do is on there. I will see you next time.